A colossal stone platform in Bolivia looks eerily similar to a landing pad, but no one on this earth truly knows what its purpose was. Hidden beneath Malta, an unearthly ancient stone chamber sends vibrations through people's bodies and minds using sound frequencies that scientists still don't entirely comprehend. And in Turkey, engravings from over 11,000 years ago might have been charting the stars or recording time long before humans were supposedly capable of doing so. These are more ancient rock markings that point to advanced technology. Let's begin with number 15, Gobeci Tepe carvings. Gobeci Tepe is over 11,000 years old. That's already astonishing. It predates the wheel, farming as we know it, and metal tools. But what makes it even more baffling is what's been carved into its stones. Towering T-shaped pillars covered with figures, like lions, serpents, vultures, and scorpions, and strange V-shaped markings and circles that some say weren't just ornamental. There's a theory that those V symbols form a calendar system. They may have tracked lunar months, seasonal changes, and even corrected the count with added days. In short, some believe these carvings show an understanding of time more advanced than expected for that era. Others argue the site might have been aligned with stars like Sirius or structured to mark events like the solstice. That sounds wild, especially when you realize this site was built thousands of years before Stonehenge. The debate is still ongoing, but whether they were mapping constellations or not, what's clear is this wasn't simple art. Something deliberate and deeply intelligent was at work here. We just don't know who they were. Number 14, Altameira Cave. Altameira Cave in northern Spain holds some of the most vivid prehistoric paintings ever found. When they were first found in the late 1800s, people thought they had to be fake because no one believed ancient humans could create art with this level of realism. These works date back roughly 36,000 years and feature animals like bison, horses, and deer in earthy tones, reds, browns, and blacks. What sets them apart isn't just the coloring, though. It's how the artists used the cave's natural curves to shape their subjects. They placed the animals where the rock bulged or dipped to add form and volume. The result is artwork that isn't just flat, it's sculpted by shadow and stone. Alongside the animals are also abstract marks, like dots, lines, and handprints. Some experts believe these could have served as early notations for time, lunar, or seasonal tracking. It's a place where realism and symbolism sit side by side. These ancient people weren't just painting, they were mapping their world both outside and within. Number Drizzens Cave. Hohlefels Cave in southwestern Germany is packed with astonishing prehistoric finds. Among them is the Venus of Hohlefels, which is a tiny figurine carved from mammoth ivory. That's right, ivory from an actual mammoth tusk. This 2.5-inch sculpture depicts a female figure with exaggerated features, big breasts, and hips so big they obscure the head. Most archaeologists believe it symbolized fertility. It might have been a goddess figure or simply a spiritual totem. Back then, fertility was survival. Alongside it, researchers also found musical instruments like flutes carved from bird bones and mammoth ivory, complete with finger holes that allowed for actual melodies. Crafting something like that would have required precision and tools sharp enough to shape bone without shattering it. The flutes prove that early humans weren't just surviving. They were creating, expressing, and thinking in sound. Between the symbolism of the Venus figurine and the craftsmanship of the flutes, this beautifully creepy cave captures something deeper, evidence of humans making meaning, not just tools. That kind of legacy doesn't fossilize easily. Number 12, Samipata. Out in Bolivia, there's a vast carved rock formation known as Samipata. Essentially, it's a massive stone platform flattened into a plaza, etched with unusual channels and geometric shapes. Ancient people carved long ridges, spirals, and serpent-like designs directly into the rock. It's often compared to a landing strip. Some even claim it might have been one. For what exactly? Well, the alien spacecraft theory might sound far-fetched, but it's not the wildest idea out there. According to UNESCO, it's considered a ceremonial platform used by multiple civilizations, first the Shanay, then the Inca, and later the Spanish built over it. But what the platform actually represented is still unclear. So unless you're all in on the alien runway theory, the carvings were most likely tied to ritual use or possibly used to channel water during sacred rites. Whether functional, symbolic, or both, it's one of those ancient places where nothing feels random and every groove seems to suggest something deeper we still don't quite grasp. Number 1. Toro Mortto. In the middle of southern Peru's desert, there's a rocky slope called Toro Mortto, where hundreds of petroglyphs have been carved into stone. Most depict animals like felines, birds, and livestock. But there are some that look completely different, human-like forms with massive round heads that almost resemble helmets or masks. To those interested in ancient tech theories, those heads look uncannily like protective gear or even pressurized suits. Archaeologists say these images are tied to the Wari culture, dating back to around 500 CE, and were probably spiritual or ceremonial. Still, there's something undeniably futuristic about the way some of them appear. There's no solid proof linking these carvings to lost technology or extraterrestrial contact, but the designs do spark questions. Maybe they're symbolic, maybe ritualistic, maybe inspired by something beyond what we currently understand. No one's claiming certainty, but those helmeted figures carved into the dry volcanic rock stand out, and not in a way that feels easy to explain through the usual lens of pre-Columbian iconography. Number 10. Tacili, Nuft, Ager rock art. Tacili and Ager is a vast sandstone plateau in southeastern Algeria, right in the heart of the Sahara. Spread across 70,000 square kilometers, it holds thousands of ancient petroglyphs and pictographs, most of them showing wildlife, hunting scenes, and daily life. But some figures look entirely out of place. A handful of them don't resemble people at all. Some appear to wear helmets or full-body suits. Others have large, featureless heads and long, narrow limbs. These are often referred to as the Great Martian Gods. One in particular, known as the Round Head, has a balloon-shaped head and is surrounded by smaller human-like figures reaching upward. A few seem to float above the ground entirely. Alongside them are shapes resembling capsules or discs. Maybe they were deities, or maybe ritual garments. But some believe these aren't stylized humans. They're something else, something early humans may have witnessed and tried to capture the only way they could, by etching it into stone to last beyond memory. Number 9. Palpa Mountains. In Peru's Palpa region, often overshadowed by the Nazca lines, you'll find a series of enormous geoglyphs carved into the mountain slopes. They're so large that you can really only make them out from above. But what makes the Palpa carvings different is that they don't just form birds or animals. Some resemble what look like massive runways, long, flat, straight-lined paths that stretch across hillsides and plateaus with geometric accuracy. Intersecting angles, sharp turns. Some say these were for ceremonial or astronomical purposes. Others believe they look a little too much like landing strips. The layout does raise eyebrows, perfect lines without satellite mapping, built on rugged terrain, and somehow still straight. One carving near Palpa shows a humanoid figure with a huge round head and exaggerated eyes. Some say it gives off something uncomfortably alien. There's still no solid answer on who etched the Palpa lines or how they kept them this precise. So what do you think about them? Who created these arts? Number 8. Hopi Prophecy Rock. In Arizona, there's a stone carving made by the Hopi people that's been sparking debate for decades. Known as Prophecy Rock, it shows a long horizontal line with branching paths and various symbols, human figures, circles, and abstract forms. According to some interpretations, it represents two potential futures. One path follows harmony with nature and spiritual balance. The other splits off and ends in collapse. Some think it's a warning about a future overwhelmed by obsession with technology, violence, and destruction. You'll also find markings that look like celestial signs, possibly stars or comets, scattered along the carving. For some, it's just a visual way to tell stories, a sacred method the Hopi used to pass down teachings. But others argue the carving shows knowledge of cosmic cycles or planetary alignments. There's no official translation, no single interpretation. Every symbol has layers and none of them are fully decoded. Whether it's myth or astronomy or both, prophecy rock carries a kind of quiet weight that still hasn't faded. Number 7. Rangarango Petroglyphs. Rangarango is a cryptic system of carved symbols found on Easter Island. You'll find them on old wooden tablets, staffs, and even the insides of caves. Only about 27 examples remain, most weathered, damaged, or charred. Around 400 individual glyphs exist, written in an odd method known as reverse bostrapheden. That means one line is read left to right, then the tablet is flipped upside down to read the next line in the same direction. Each row of symbols faces the opposite way from the one before. So we know the format, but not the meaning. No one has successfully decoded it. Some researchers believe the glyphs represent moon cycles, ancestral lines, or even recorded histories of island rulers. Others say they served a ceremonial or spiritual function, but nothing has been confirmed. There's no key, no translation, just symbols, patterns, and repetition, clearly structured but still silent. Rangarango remains one of the world's most persistent linguistic puzzles, and we're still nowhere near cracking it. What a shame. Number 6. Blombos Cave Engravings. Blombos Cave, perched along South Africa's southern coast with a view over the Indian Ocean, held something amazing: blocks of ochre, an iron-rich red or brown clay etched with deliberate geometric designs. These carvings date back about 75,000 years. Ochre is soft enough to carve but stable enough to last millennia. Prehistoric people often ground it into powder to make pigment, but here they carved directly into the blocks. The patterns, crosshatches, zigzags, and grids aren't random scratches, they show intention. They were made using sharp stone or bone tools with steady pressure, and they're not drawings of animals or humans, like most ancient cave art. These are abstract shapes, visual symbols of something internal. That shift from depicting the outside world to designing abstract ideas means something. It suggests early humans were thinking in concepts. Whether these were a kind of early language, symbolic code, or decorative expressions, we don't know for sure. But they prove one thing: these people weren't just surviving, they were already stepping into the realm of thought and symbolism. Number 5. The Drapa Stones. The Drapa Stone story starts in 1937. When a Chinese expedition led by Professor Chi Pu-Te claimed to discover a strange burial site high in the Palpa Mountains near the border of Tibet and China. Inside, they reported finding small skeletons with oversized skulls and frail bodies, standing about 4 feet tall. Alongside the remains were hundreds of stone discs, each about a foot wide, with a central hole and twin spiral grooves etched into the surface. These spirals supposedly contained thousands of minuscule characters, only visible under magnification. Years later, researcher Tu Sum Nui claimed to have translated them at the Beijing Academy for Prehistoric Research. The translation detailed an alien crash landing 12,000 years ago. The beings, called the Drapa, had come from another star system and were stranded. Some villagers welcomed them, others did not. The discs allegedly recorded their journey and survival. Tu Sum was ridiculed, left China, and eventually died in Japan. The stones, never displayed publicly. Then they vanished just like the mythical city of Altameira. Number 4. Balbeck. At Balbeck in Lebanon, there's a colossal stone foundation that shouldn't exist, not with the tools people had at the time. Some of the blocks weigh over 1,000 tons. One in particular, the stone of the pregnant woman, is more than 70 feet long and still lies partly buried in a nearby quarry. These weren't decorative stones. They were meant to be moved, placed, and built upon. And even today, with all our advanced equipment, we'd struggle to handle one. This was constructed over 2,000 years ago, and there's still no solid explanation for how it was done. Engineers have theories, but no hard answers. Some speculate ancient builders may have used advanced methods now lost to history. Others go as far as suggesting anti-gravity concepts, saying maybe the stones were levitated into place. There are no written records explaining the process, no tools left behind. The Romans built on top of the platform centuries later, but they didn't move the stones. They just used what was already standing. Number 3. Malta Hypogee. Hidden beneath Malta, there's an ancient stone structure called the Hypogee. One room inside it is known as the Oracle Chamber, and it's carved entirely from limestone. If someone speaks or chants in that room, the sound reverberates in a way that's hard to explain. Certain tones, especially lower male voices, make the entire space vibrate. People standing in other chambers can even feel it through their bodies. Scientific testing revealed the chamber naturally amplifies sound at roughly 110 Hz. That's oddly close to the frequency our brains produce during trance states. Some researchers believe that effect wasn't accidental. They think it may have been deliberately designed to induce altered consciousness. That the chamber could have been used for rituals meant to connect with something beyond physical reality. It's not just an echo chamber, it reacts. No wires, no speakers, just raw stone amplifying the human voice. Even today, its acoustic effects feel engineered with intention we still haven't fully deciphered. Number 2. Atllet Yam. Just off Israel's coastline, under roughly 30 feet of water, lies an ancient site known as Atllet Yam. It's the remains of a submerged settlement dating back nearly 9,000 years. The most striking part? Massive standing stones arranged in deliberate circular formations, what some have compared to a submerged Stonehenge. These stones aren't scattered, they're placed around a natural freshwater spring. That detail makes some people wonder if it was used for ritual practices or tied to some kind of energy-based belief system. Sure, energy centers can mean different things, but even skeptics admit the placement feels intentional. No one found wires or tools, but the symmetry's undeniable. Then there's the question of how this entire settlement ended up underwater. Rising sea levels after the Ice Age are part of it, but an entire megalithic site slowly vanishing beneath the waves without a trace? That's something else. Atllet Yam isn't just old. It's a full prehistoric mystery that vanished below the surface before written history even began. Number 1. Ishino Hoden. Tucked in a quiet town in Japan, there's a colossal stone monument called Ishino Hoden. This thing weighs over 600 tons and somehow appears to float just above the ground like it's suspended in midair. The shape throws you off instantly. It's a near-perfect rectangular block with a precise chunk removed on one side, and from specific angles, it even resembles an old-school television. The edges are razor-sharp, the cuts are flawless. It doesn't look accidental. Historians and engineers have been trying to figure out how ancient builders could carve and move something of that scale. And more puzzling, why it seems to hover. Beneath the structure is a shallow pool carved directly into the bedrock, which creates the illusion that it's floating. Still, that doesn't explain the engineering behind it. There are no tools found nearby, no records of construction, no hint about its purpose. It stands alone, clean lines, impossible weight, no known reason, and that's exactly why it's still so unsettling. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.